Hiya Mark, well I promised I'd have a little bit of fun with you on this one, and I've managed to find some footage from the first two visits that you made. The one with the cap on is your very first visit, and we worked predominantly on that first visit down the line trying to calm things down, and the differences between this swing on the top right and the bottom right is somewhat of a joke really, and you start to see where some of your problems were coming. So first of all, as we look at it from P1 to P2, everything moving away much more together, much less separation between the arms and the body. You can see the left arm angled in a little bit more, the shoulders working more on a tilted angle, and certainly getting rid of that flex in the right knee. We then continue this on P2 to P3. Again, same things continue, arms tracing an inward path, shoulders turning on a tilted angle. You can see that the shaft now is through the base of the right bicep, as opposed to almost through the right shoulder, and certainly much more flex being lost in that trail leg. Lifting to the top as opposed to turning and extending and left tilting. Now this particular swing, this is one where you're trying to max out that sort of Frosbury flop idea that we talked about. So this is the extreme version of the swing I want you to make. So we see much more straightening of the right leg, much more turning of the shoulders and an extension of the spine. Club maybe approaching across the line a little bit. So this is maxed out, but you can see a massive difference at that point. I mean, it really is. It's bizarre, really. As you then come down, quick turn with the shaft coming through the right shoulder, very, very out in front and steep. Much better rate of rotation there on the way through. You can see that the arms have been pulled out slightly but are still on the inside. You can see that the right knee is starting to regain its address flex but hasn't overflexed. The line of the shaft is completely different obviously, and then also you can see that the hips, you can see a little bit more of your lead leg, so the hips aren't spinning out quite as much. So now with this really big turn, we've got to tuck the hips, raise the butt of the club, bring the head off the wall, and the butt of the club's raising massively at that point. On here now, we can continue to turn, slide the hips, extend, delivery position slightly different, and the way you achieve that impact position is totally different. There's still a bit of stuff in there, there's a little bit of residual stuff where you still want to raise the butt of the club on the way through quite rapidly and tuck the hips, but that'll start to diminish over a period of time. See that little bit of high exit and club face rotation. Now obviously you understand that the more you stop quick, the more that becomes diminished. And then here we go for the big sort of wound around Adam Scott style finish, as opposed to the much more organised arms staying on the torso, body working in unison with the arms type finish that we're seeing here, that was more prevalent with someone like a Hogan, Byron Nelson if you will, quality swingers at the golf club from years gone by. Take a little look at it from face on. Hips doing very little early in the piece, a lot of flex being maintained in the knees. Left shoulder working down much better. Excuse the kids in the background. Right knee maintaining its flex. Right knee losing its flex the most. This again is you maxing out the extension. Propelling the butt of the club much further now. So the degree of turning in the shoulders, and we talked about this, is actually an act of extension. Shoulders, shoulders, left arm freedom, completely different. The way in which the hips are turning on a tilted angle as opposed to almost turning in the opposite way with the left hips higher than the right, massively different at the top. Then as we change direction, quick turn. I mean, look at the head location there. The head's completely gone. The head, you know, the eyes are over here at P5.2. Now the eye location is completely different. The rate at which the body is unwinding has started to change dramatically. So the hips are already out the way, and now it's just a big tuck to try and get the club back on the inside. On this one, the hips are much more further forward. You can see the centre of the hips is in a completely different position. The right foot starting to bank in. I'm just going to sync these two up now and play them through. Much better looking impact position. Hips further forward. Stretching the spine off. In a much more controlled, less spun out position just through the golf ball. Put the movement from the top through. Much more low maintenance, easy to control golf swing. Great work. Nice to see it sort of compared to when you first started. As I said, the bottom two pieces of footage are you maxing out that extension of the whole unit, if you will, the ankles, the knees, the hips, the chest. From your last session, it'd be really interesting to see how that starts to pan out in the weeks to come. Well done. Have a great Christmas.